someone. Dean Fennelly. A dangerous ball. Ger Fennelly. A goal! A goal by Ger Fennelly.
Should be pointed out, of course, that Kilkenny are playing against a very strong breeze. Nice summer breeze. Comes to Dean Fennelly. Oh, that's a great goal.
Hey, look at there! Here they come! Here come those cats again. Never seems to feel I don't know when. It's the goal, just a look at that class. The ball is the net, oh, what a beautiful pass. My heart keeps stopping from thinking to myself, they're sure fine looking, man. There's something else.
Edmund Ignatius Rice. It's one of the most famous names in Irish history. He was, of course, the founder of the Christian Brothers Schools. He was born in Callan, County Kilkenny, where I am at the moment. In fact, in this house here behind me. Although he's Callan's most famous son, the area has also produced many other well-known names, not least of which in terms of Kilkenny hurling. On the present team, there's Pat Dwyer, the full-back. Also on the panel, you have Richie Power, who, of course, is one of the best-known Kilkenny hurlers down through the years. And in the half-forward line, there's John Power. And he, in fact, went to Callan Christian Brothers. Well, John, whatever about the All-Ireland final and hurling, you still have to make a living, obviously. And it's busy times here on a big farm.
No doubt, Michael. I'm in the middle of the harvest at the moment, and as everybody knows, the weather is slowing us down in a big way, but I hope to have it mopped up by Sunday.
Well, John, at least at the moment, you have a little bit of teamwork going, because Pat Dwyer's come over to give you a hand. But Pat, of course, you have your own farm, so you're busy enough yourself.
That's true. I wouldn't be as advanced as John in the farming circles, waiting on the harvest. I hope to make a beginning this weekend.
Pat, looking forward to the match itself. You're back in at full back this time. You were there before in 1989, but now that John Henderson is retired, you return to the full back spot.
That's right. It wasn't by my choice that I was ever played in full back. I don't know why the selectors thought I would be suited to the position, but I've begun to settle back into the position now and getting comfortable in it.
What do you think is the basic difference between playing full back and centre back?
Centre back is much more involved in the game. He's under all the puck outs, and he's a playmaker for the forwards. Whereas a full back, he's a stopper, keeping forwards out and keeping the ball away from the danger zone.
John, from your own point of view and looking at this All-Ireland final, obviously hoping to make up for the disappointments of last year.
No doubt, Michael. I was very disappointed last year at the final, like personally and county-wise. Like, it didn't go well for me on the day, injury-wise, you know. As I suppose everybody knows at this stage, I had a run-in with a wire there in Croke Park, and things just didn't work out on the day, and I was kind of on form the same day, and it happened. Like, but it was misfortunate, but I can look to Sunday now and hopefully make up for it.
That particular occasion, the hand injury, in fact, turned out to be quite bad and went against you for weeks, months afterwards.
That's right. It kind of plagued me right into October, November. Like, only for the start of the league, it kind of came right at me, and I gave it a go again. But I know doubt it did kind of finish hurling as regards the back end of the year for me, like club-wise and everything. We played Pat last year in the actual club championship in intermediate last year, and there was very little assistance to my club in that game over that injury.
Pat, looking at the performance of the Kilkenny defence through the championship so far this year, it seems to be playing an awful lot better than last year, when perhaps there was a few question marks there. Happy with the form?
Yes, I think the backs have gained a lot in confidence by the fact of being in last year's All-Ireland, and it has really stood to them, and I think they've shown that throughout the year.
Overall, in fact, Kilkenny, last year a lot of people thought that they were lucky to get to an All-Ireland final. This year the team seems to be playing with a lot more assurance. Why is that? Because it's basically the same team.
True, but it probably boils down to confidence.
last year they were unsure of themselves in each game, and this year the team has been quite settled.
I'm looking forward to the game immensely. You know, it is every Kilkenny men's dream to play Cork in the final, and like as you say, like it has to go back to 82, 83. They were great games them times, you know, and like as everyone knows, we won them games and it made it even better. But it's great to win in All-Ireland against Cork, or playing in All-Ireland against Cork. You know, they play the same brand of hurling as Kilkenny try play, and I'd say it should be a great game of hurling. And the outcome, I'd say, definitely, I wouldn't say anyone in Ireland could say at this point in time what way the match will go. Like, it will all depend on the 70 minutes hurling, who takes their chances and who don't.
The game itself will be very fast, and I think for the first quarter of an hour, 20 minutes, both teams will be sizing one another up, and it'll be a very open game. And I think it'll be nip and tuck to the 70th minute.
A couple of weeks afterwards, you'll be in different jerseys on the other side of the action.
That's true. In the Intermediate Club Championship, we've been drawn together in the quarter-finals, and I think it'll be nip and tuck between us again. All county friendship will be forgotten on the day.
John, of course, as a forward, you're going to have to face up against him as you're running through looking for scores.
No doubt, yeah, he will make life hard on me that day, but hopefully I'll come out on the right side.
I was going to say all alone, but not for long. Heffernan, I think, got his hand to it. It was certainly deflected by somebody. In it goes from Frank Cummins right into the goal box. It's dropping down. And it was deflected by Christy Heffernan. And now we're back alive, and it's Christy Heffernan again. He's going through. He's getting ready to take a shot. And it is a goal. A goal by Christy Heffernan. And Kilkenny have run amok. Ball breaks now. And it goes to Ger Fennelly, into Harry Ryan. Ryan trying to get through. And a shot. And a goal! A goal by Richie Powell. And that's the kind of goal that wins All-Ireland Championship.
So with me now, three veterans of the Kilkenny Cork All-Ireland finals, Eddie Kerr, Ted Carroll and Nicky Brennan. And Eddie and Ted, from your point of view, your first championship meeting with Cork in '66 wasn't a particularly happy one from a Kilkenny point of view.
Not really, we were beaten that day. I think Cork had been out of All-Irelands for 10 years at that stage, and they came with a young team who were sort of mostly made up of an under-21 team. And Kilkenny, I'd say, were favourites on that day, but like lots of favourites, we fell on that day to a very enthusiastic young Cork bunch of guys, including Gerald McCarthy, who's with Cork on the sideline on Sunday.
I remember watching that game, Ted, myself as a young fella on television. If memory serves me, Colm Sheehan ran a bit riot in the Cork attack that day.
He did. Colm got 3 goals that day. I think that was the turning point. Of course, Kilkenny were favourites, which was a bad thing anyway. We had won the All-Ireland in '63. Tip beat us the year after, and we were supposed to be coming of age in '66. But Cork, they hunted in packs that day, and they played tremendous stuff from the point of view of backing up one another, and got a few crucial lucky breaks. I think that any team needs to win All-Ireland.
Ted, on behalf of your defensive colleagues that day, you wouldn't like to give an explanation as to how Sheehan was allowed to do so much damage?
Well, I suppose it's a matter of being in the right place at the right time and taking his chances. Simple as that. He just tapped them in.
Eddie, from the forwards' point of view, you scored fairly well that day, in fact.
I can't remember. We didn't score enough, obviously, anyway. But no, we never got going. I think we were getting going about 10 minutes to go. The match was gone from us nearly at that stage. And then Cork tightened up in the backs, and we just didn't get enough scores to win.
Well, at least you made amends in 1969.
Yeah, we learned a lot from '66, and Cork were firm favourites in '69. And in fact, they were winning well into the second half, and we got the run on them at that stage, and I think we must have won by 6 or 7 points in the end.
For the next 12 years, you dominated those encounters against Cork in All-Ireland finals.
We did, apart from '78, I think it was, that Cork beat us. But apart from that, Kilkenny played very well in all the All-Irelands. that they met Cork in. And I suppose beginning in 69, that it was certainly good to beat Cork in 69 after what I suppose Cork had done to us in 66.
Well, you mentioned the 78 match. At that stage, both yourself and Eddie were out of the picture. Nicky, you were just coming into it, but I don't think you were prepared to take any of the blame for that 78 defeat.
Well, not really. I was a sub in 78, so I was not responsible for what happened.
It was a selectorial disaster on that occasion.
Well, I would say so anyway, yeah. But it was a game that Cork were quite impressive in, really, and it was obviously it's disappointing to lose at that stage, but nevertheless I think probably Cork deserved it on the day.
Moving on then to two All-Irelands that you were very much involved in, 82 and 83, and those were two good days obviously for Kilkenny.
Very true. 82 was probably somewhat similar to 66, but the other way around. Cork came into the game as firm favourites with an impressive Munster Championship campaign behind them. Kilkenny were not given a lot of chance. In the early stages of the game we looked like that's what it was going to be, but then Christy Heffernan came good with 2 goals in a short space of time, and thereafter Kilkenny ran out good winners. It was an impressive display. I was a sub in 83, I had a hand injury, but that was the day where Billy Fitzpatrick shot points from every possible angle in Croke Park, and it was Billy's performance that day that probably in the end was the decisive thing in the game which saw us through winning.
Looking forward to another Cork-Kilkenny All-Ireland final, Ted.
I certainly am looking forward to another Kilkenny-Cork All-Ireland, and I suppose the main reason that there's always a great atmosphere, there's a great affinity between Cork and Kilkenny in All-Ireland, that the game is played hard, and once the game is over, I think, irrespective of which team wins, that there's a great camaraderie between both counties.
A certain pressure, though, Nick, on Kilkenny to win this one, having been defeated last year and, of course, losing to Galway a few years ago as well.
Yes, I would agree. I think supporters, by and large, are quite impatient. It's 83 since we won the last one, and last year was probably very disappointing to our supporters, particularly as it was our great rivals and next-door neighbours, Tipperary. So hopefully that will be the spur which will rise the players on Sunday to even greater things, and I'm hopeful that that is probably one of the prime factors that will help us on the game on Sunday.
I think that it's very difficult to gauge because you have two teams, Cork and Kilkenny, and when they're in an All-Ireland you can forget, in my opinion, past performances. But I've looked at Kilkenny over this championship as against last championship, and I think they're far more experienced. I think they'll have a great game, and I expect Kilkenny to win.
Liam Fennelly, captain of the Kilkenny team for the All-Ireland final. Obviously a great honour and something you're looking forward to.
Yeah, great honour indeed. It's always great to be captain of the Kilkenny team in the All-Ireland final, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Liam, of course, we mustn't forget that you've already been in this situation. 1983, and again, a victory over Cork on that occasion.
Yeah, that's a decade ago now. It's a long, long time ago in Kilkenny hurling, so I think most people have forgotten about that day.
Looking forward to this match. Obviously, any final is going to be tough. Against Cork, it seems to be particularly so. Nobody seems to know which way to call this one.
Yeah, it's an All-Ireland final between Kilkenny and Cork. It's very, very hard to call because most people reckon that it'll be just a hop of a ball will be between us at the end of the day. So nobody knows. Hopefully it'll hop in our direction.
What do you see as the crucial areas of this match?
The crucial areas, it's hard to pinpoint even the crucial area because it's 15 against 15, and normally what happens is the person you don't expect to do it on the day does the job on the day. So it's just hard to call to pinpoint where the problems will be or where the scores will be got.
Liam, that must be one of the big problems about going into a match like this, or one of the big fears, that so-called star players, whom perhaps the media will pinpoint, you know, don't do it on the day. That must be a worry.
It's not a worry to us because no more than it's a worry to Cork when it comes down to it, because each of the 15 players on each team are worth their places, so each and one of them has the right to be a star, I suppose.
Interesting, DJ, when you were coming in tonight, the number of young people who rushed up to get your autograph. Must be great coming up to a big match like this, to be in that situation.
It is, Michael. I suppose the crowd and all are beginning to get behind the team. Young fellas, they're realising now of an All-Ireland final, and they're getting involved. You know, they're coming in to see the players, and it's great. It's the same now. It's the second time we're in it in a row, and we know what it's about this year. So, you know, it's great coming up to the final.
A lot of people are looking to DJ Carey to put on a big performance for Kilkenny. Does that put you under extra pressure?
Well, I suppose in training, it's instilled into us, like, it's not just one player it's the 15, maybe one will come out on top in the game, but it takes the 15 lads to perform on the day, no matter who wins the game for Kilkenny or, you know, or otherwise. But it doesn't put any extra pressure if it comes that, to say, Eamon Morrissey won a game or I won a game or whoever won a game for Kilkenny. It all goes back to the 15 players that played, you know, so it doesn't really put that extra pressure.
It certainly has the makings of a very good final.
Yeah, I think both teams are hurling teams. As I said, we were playing an awful lot better than we were playing last year, although we put up a good show in the final. But I think that's what we went out to do, is put up a good show in the final, and hopefully this time we'll go out to win the final.
Liam Simpson, Bill Hennessy, two members of the Kilkenny All-Ireland team, but there's another connection because your brothers-in-law, Liam, married to your sister, Bill. Does that create an extra friendship in the side?
It does, because we see one another more often than I suppose the rest of the players do, and you push yourself a bit more on the field then to try and help one another out. I don't get much chance now that I'm out in the field though.
Liam, from your own point of view, good win over Wexford and a good win over Galway, so you must be feeling confident going into this final.
That's right, Michael, yeah. Well, we had a good win over Wexford. I think we played a bit better against Wexford than we did against Galway, but we still win our two games, and we're meeting Cork in the final, and we're confident, but an All-Ireland final against Cork has to be 50-50 chance.
If this is going to be a close game, then that midfield confrontation is going to be crucial. Extra pressure, do you think, on you because of that?
I'd say there is. You're expected to be in the game a lot more out around the middle of the field, and they say if you lose at midfield, that puts pressure on the rest of the team. So we'll be hoping to at least break even with the two Cork midfielders and hopefully get on top.
Well, a lot goes into winning an All-Ireland title, but Mick Neary, an awful lot goes into just making the hurleys as well. How long have you been at this yourself?
Well, my father started out in 1916. He's at it ever since. There was a time there was nine men working here, but it was all handwork at the time. You know, just a little hatchet chopping out the hurley, all that.
Well, modern technology has moved you on from there, but Mick, you're a man who'd know a good hurley yourself anyway, because of course you were on the Kilkenny team.
Well, if I wouldn't know one after that length of time, if I never hurled, I should know a good hurley anyway, yeah. You know? 43,
I think you played in an All-Ireland final.
No, semi-final. Beaten in semi-final.
That was by Antrim?
By Antrim, yeah.
You had a bit of a difficulty getting to the match that day.
We had a hell of a difficulty. We left here on Friday, and at the time we had to go to Amiens Street Station, queue for 5.5 hours before we got a train to Belfast. You know, it was heavy going at the time.
And then lost by a point at the end of all that.
I think it's a point now. I'm not quite sure of the actual score. Yeah.
Mick, you make hurleys for players all over the country, but obviously for an awful lot of the Kilkenny players.
Oh, nearly
who
all
in particular now do you make for?
Adrian Ronan and Christy Heffernan and Willie O'Connor. Nearly all of them, like, you know, repairing and making them for them.
And would they have different requirements now in a hurley?
Oh, absolutely. Every one of them used a different type of hurley. Ronan used the one an inch shorter than the rest of them, you know, and Willie O'Connor used a very light hurley. Christy, for a big man, used a very light hurley too, you know.
I noticed that the hurleys that you're making here generally are lighter than the ones I saw earlier in the week down in Cork.
Yeah.
Would different counties have different preferences?
Well, it's what they grow up with, like. You see, they go for the real light hurley here, but in Cork they grow up for the heavier hurley, and they stick with it. Wexford are the same. They stick with the heavier type of hurley too, but they don't fancy that hurley here, like. Very light stick.
Well, Mick, when the ash arrives in here raw, what's the process? What happens first with it?
Well, the first stage is to pencil the pattern around, and we saw it outside the line, like firstly. You see, in case there would be any shrinkage or anything after you saw it, you keep wide of the line while they're seasoning, you know. Then in the second stage, we slide them, the sides, we take the sides off it and we straighten them, which is the most important stage of making a hurley. We go from there then to the rounding off process of the handle and the making of the grip. The grip now is very important now. Most players use a different style grip, like. Some like a very narrow handle at the top, like very light. This is where the whole thing gets a bit complicated at this time of the year, because you have to be suiting all the fellas. You can't give many excuse for losing an All-Ireland, you know. But we're on to the sander now, and the finishing now. You have to be very careful in the sanding too. You could spoil a hurley in the sanding too. By going, you must keep working it in and out on the sander. Because if you stop in one spot, you're going to cut into it. You know.
You have a lot of hurleys to make in your own lifetime. The ones this particular weekend that are more important are the ones for the All-Ireland final. So
they'll go on. They'll be shouting from my hurling so far.
They wait for it inside. Morrissey against Tanami, runs on, and it's a great goal! And James E. Brennan has scored it. James E. Brennan in towards the aforementioned DJ. Here he is, and he crashes home. A fine goal. A mark of a true striker. John Power outside to Adrian Ronan. Discarding the helmet. Finally! A goal for Kilkenny.
Again, DJ Carey giving it inside. Ian Finlay coming across. Richard Burke has come out to clear. When he gets to the short distance, and Liam McCarthy puts it in.
Well, Kilbrickin will be well represented by John Power and the Kilkenny hurling team in the All-Ireland finals, but there'll be plenty of more Powers from Kilbrickin shouting him along. The brothers Jim, Edmund and Mick. Jim, have you got your tickets yet?
I hope to get them tonight. John is to collect them at Nolan Park, so I'll have a ticket no matter what will happen anyway. So I'm happy enough.
I'm sure, Edmund, there's been an awful lot of pressure on John, in all fairness, though, about tickets. It's the usual story, isn't it?
The usual story. All the neighbours looking for him and the club and that, and everyone wants to be there on the day. So he's trying his best to get as many as he can.
Have you ever been in a situation, Mick, when you haven't been able to get tickets for matches?
No, usually we work out okay. Like when John wasn't on the county team, the club got a fair allocation of tickets, and we've always got there in the end of the day. There'd be times all right, like up to the last minute, you'd be wondering whether you'd be going or not, but you'd be always gearing yourself to go anyway.
Yourself and Jim, of course, play for the local club along with John, with John Locke.
With the John Locke, yeah. We've been playing with him I've been playing with the last 12 or 13 years, and we've had some very good times and we've had some very bad times. But overall, like, it's been worth it all in the end of the day. Broken bones and this, that and the other, like, but after that, when you look back on it, like, you'd have enjoyed it a lot.
Edmund, from your own point of view, you don't play with the club. You've taken early retirement, you were telling me.
I retired early. Well, I was forced into retirement by some selectors, which I won't comment on that.
I was on the selection committee that day.
So I said to hell with it, I'd give it up to hell altogether. I don't bother with it anymore. Well, the lads are going constantly training and one thing and another, so someone has to keep the ship afloat around here. So
Jim, what about the big match itself? Is Kenny going to win it, basically?
10 points, Michael. 10 points, hopefully. Well, it will be a close match, and I hope it will be a good match, because the championship matches all year are very, very poor, like, and it will be either a good match or a bad match, because you have two great teams playing, and I hope they play an open game of hurling. If they do, we'll have a great game, and if they go out to mark one another, it isn't going to be much of a great game, like, you know. So hopefully we'll be inside in Kilkenny Monday night with the Liam McCarthy Cup.
Well, lads, there is one brother missing. He's away at a wedding today, but he's represented by his son here. Is this lad going to be a hurler?
Oh, it's hard to say. Oh, he'll be a hurler, all right. He can't avoid that. But,
as long as he hurls for the Locks and not Donegal, he'll be a hurler.
Know that he visited both camps during the week to assess the form of the players, and his second report features the bookmakers' favourites, Cork.
Referee again penalising the Kilkenny backs for holding, and there is a 21-yard free for Cork, dead straight in front of the goal. Shawnee Barry to take it again, and I wonder will he be satisfied with the point with that line of defence in front of him at this stage of the game. I'm sure he will. Let's wait and see. He is not. It's back down. It's a goal! And it breaks to Patrick Gerd. He's been chased by two Kilkenny men. He puts it back to Mick Waters, and Mick sends it long clearance well up the field, putting Cork into the attack. The ball in front of the goal. The ball right in front of the goal now, and another shot by John Bennett, and it's a goal. 5 to 10 points, just 1 point between them. Cork the leaders, 11 points to 10. And from the puck, it's a long one, way down the field. Jim Tracy's clearance is a short one, however, and John O'Halloran gets the ball for Cork from a very awkward angle, a high one, and the ball is in the net. It's a goal. It's a goal for Cork.
Gerald McCarthy, trainer of the Cork hurling team against Kilkenny in the All-Ireland final. And of course, you had the distinction of captaining Cork to success against Kilkenny in the 66 final.
That's right, Michael. That's a long time ago now, though. It's way back in the long and distant past. It was a lovely occasion. Probably I was a little too young to appreciate it at the time. But it was a period at Cork were without an All-Ireland win for 10, 12 years, I think it was actually. And it was the longest period ever. So there was a lot of pressure on us, and it was a very determined team, and we went up and we beat a very fancied Kilkenny team.
Gerald, just in case people are trying to tot up your age at the moment, we should explain that you were in fact one of the youngest ever captains of an All-Ireland winning team.
That's right, Michael. I was born very young, you see, so that accounts for that, I suppose.
And of course you also captained the Cork under-21 team that year.
That's right, Michael. There was a lot of luck attached to that, really, because there was 3 games against Wexford, and I had missed the first 2 games because of injury. So the 3rd game in Croke Park, I was fit to play in, and naturally I was captain and been on the team. So, you know, it was nice to have a record like that, but records, I think, are things you store away for long, cold winter evenings and throw the leg up in front of the fire. You start to think about them then, but when you're playing, you just don't think about records at all, really.
You also, mind you, Gerald, had the distinction of captaining the Cork 66 team twice out into the pitch at Croke Park, because last year was the Jubilee, and of course you've seen by thousands of people again all around the country on television.
That's right, that was absolutely brilliant, because it was one of the few occasions that the whole lot of the lads came back together again, you know. Jerry Sullivan, God be good to him, was the only man missing, and we had brought people back from Africa and so on, you know, so it was a great occasion and everybody really enjoyed themselves. It was fabulous altogether.
Have you seen much of the 66 final on tape since?
Well, I must confess the worst thing that has happened. We played a game down against Middleton, or down in Middleton recently, and with the Kilkenny team of 66, and they gave us a video recording of the game, and we've taken them home, obviously, and the kids have got their hands on them, and I'm afraid they're not a bit impressed by the standards back in 66, but I'm trying to explain to them it was all about camera angles and things like that, you know, but I don't think they're buying it, Michael.
Well, I'm sure, Gerald, at the moment you're watching a lot of tapes, both of the present Cork team and the present Kilkenny team, and looking forward to this All-Ireland final. It looks like it's going to be a tough and close one.
It looks that way. I think it's a 50-50 game, quite honestly. It's a cliche, but it is a 50-50 game. I don't think there's going to be any hot favourites. I think we'll need to play every bit as well as we played in Munster against Tipperary and Limerick. If we're to beat Kilkenny on Sunday, we'll have to play at our best. There's no doubt about that.
Another member of that 1966 team was Paddy Fitzgerald, who was the left half back. And of course, Paddy also the father of the present Cork captain, Ger. Paddy, looking at the 1966 match first, great memories, I'm sure, for you.
Certainly, Michael, very good memories. As you know, it was 12 years since Cork won the All-Ireland up to 66, and you know, there was great enthusiasm in the county. And we went into the game as rank outsiders, but we were, you know, very determined to win it for Cork, and you know, on the day we did produce it.
Well, Paddy, at that stage there was not much sign of Ger playing hurling here beside you. Ger, I think you were just, what, 2 years old at the time?
2 years old, Michael, yeah. I have a vivid memory of the whole thing.
I doubt that, mind you, but I'm sure you've seen it once or twice since.
Yeah, I've seen it on video and television there. In 1984, I think it was shown on all the old games. I've seen it and watched it intently.
As the years went by and you started to play a little bit of hurling yourself, did you ever envisage a day when you'd follow your father onto the Cork team?
I know, you just play to enjoy it really and see how it goes, and as we grew up then we became a bit more successful, and Middleton won the first county in 1983 and I was part of that team, and ever since then we've been in the limelight and forefront really of the scene, and just progressed from there.
Paddy, when did you see in him that bit of talent that you knew might have the potential to be an inter-county player?
Funny, Michael, he started as a goalie, as you know, and he played up the minor level as a goalie, but in 83, Middleton senior selectors of the time brought him out the field in the practice match, and he played very well, and you could see from then like that he had the ability to make it at the top level.
Sure, it's a bit of a change from being a goalkeeper to playing in the full forward division.
Yeah, it's a bit of a change, all right, Michael. It's basically still about goals, stopping them or scoring them, so I suppose just reverse really.
Well, one thing, of course, in this All-Ireland final that's special for you in particular, you will lead that Cork team out into the field as their captain. That'll be a proud moment.
Yeah, that's a tremendous honour for anybody to have really, and that comes about because we won the county championship last year and I was the Middleton captain last year, and just the honour falls to me, and it's a tremendous honour.
Agus inis, on Norman Hurling agus Flóta sin, You're a Glochan Captain Corky, Hurling na Moon.
This is Cork City, which 2 years ago was the scene of a very special sporting occasion. September 1990, when the county's hurlers and footballers brought home both the Lee McCarthy Cup and the Sam Maguire to their jubilant supporters. Well, in the meantime, Kerry's footballers have emerged again in Munster, but the hurlers have always been a more resilient lot. And this weekend, they contest their second All-Ireland final of the 90s. In opposition, it's the old enemy Kilkenny. Oh, they met 10 years ago exactly. Then Cork were raging hot favourites, but Kilkenny won on the day, and 12 months later the Cats won again. But they haven't met in the championship since, until this weekend that is, in what promises to be a battle royal.
They're great finals for the people involved from both counties, because we both consider ourselves the best, you know, and you can even feel the game building up already. You know, people are very conscious of that in either county, you know.
There, from your point of view, when you look back
well,
at
it was in 82, you know, we were the classic case, like we were setting ourselves up really for a downer. We walked through Munster, and I'd have to be honest and say we believed all that was written about us. We thought we were better than what we actually were, and Kilkenny came out literally just overpowered us. We weren't ready for the physical or mental challenge that they put up to us on the day, and you know, we were found wanting that particular day. The following year we were unlucky. We played against the Gale Force, winning the first half, and turned around 5 points down. But Richie Ford got a good goal just after half-time, a lucky goal in ways, but they all count in finals, and you know, all of a sudden then it became an 8-point lead, so we were beaten by 2 points in the end, but at least we felt a bit better by that defeat. We had redeemed ourselves. We were absolutely outplayed in 82, and we felt we let ourselves down very badly, but in 83 we regained a lot of pride, I felt, you know.
Frank, you've had a very busy week, clearly.
That's right, Ger. I was at a demolition job down in Carrytool, a very famous hurling club, and I've just finished the job just today.
I suppose people would be asking, is it as dangerous a business as being midfield in an All-Ireland final?
Well, it can be dangerous, Ger. You know, you have to look at the job from the beginning and look at all the pitfalls and make sure, you know, if you're going up on buildings, you have to make sure that you don't fall down to the ground.
Frank, 82 and 83, happy memories, of course, for you. Two more medals to add to the medal collection.
That's right, Ger. Were two great games. Maybe in the first one in 82, Cork were the favourites, and that was a great... We were in a great position, really. You know, when you're favourites, the pressure is on you, and we were completely relaxed, and I must say we had an excellent team. Players like Ger Henderson, Dick O'Hara, Brian Cody, and Billy Fitz. You know, they were really great players, and I suppose on the day we had the look, and probably that's what won the game for us.
Ball goes now to Harry Ryan across into the centre now, and Frank Cummins with the ball going through a shot. No, the shot is knocked down. He tries to get, and it is a goal! A goal for Kilkenny! And there's the throw in. The second half is on, and Kilkenny in the attack. Billy Fitzpatrick, Christy Heffernan. Ball breaks now, and it goes to Ger Fennelly, into Harry Ryan. Ryan trying to get through, and a shot, a goal by Richie Powell, and that's the kind of goal that wins All-Ireland Championship. Jimmy Barry Murphy. Ger Henderson after him. Nice pass, but intercepted there by Joe Hennessy. And Joe, with a short grip of the stick, sends it centre field. Cork back in the attack again. Bertie Oak Murphy. Come on, goal! That's the goal that Cork wanted to get back in the game. Has the throw of this dice been too late, or is it in time to pull the game out of the Kilkenny fire? That's Kieran Brennan. Pat Horgan. And Ger Fennelly way up the field. Ger Cunningham. Donald O'Grady. Oh dear. Oh, Donald says to heck with it, I'll take it. Dermot McCurtain. Ball lobbing loose. Jimmy Barry Murphy with it now. In the direction of the goal. But it's gone wide. How it could have been wide, only Joe can visualize. They have about 5 minutes in which to save the game. Kilkenny have 5 minutes in which to hold on. Pat Horgan into the goal mouth. It is saved. The goal! It's a goal! It's a goal! And I think Johnny Neary
The longest-serving member of the Cork team is Ger Cunningham, one of the newest members of the team, Brian Corcoran at right full-back. But Ger, one thing that you do have in common is that you both pucked that ball an extraordinarily long distance.
Yeah, I suppose over the years we've been into pucking for balls, all right. You know, very long distances, and it's grand to have a backup now with Brian there, you know. Takes the pressure off me a small bit.
Of course, outside hurling, you spent years as the undisputed puck frothit champion.
Yeah, for a couple of years I was going up to the Cooley Mountains in Dundalk every August. It's a great competition up there, which I think doesn't get enough recognition in the GA, but that's a different day's work anyway. But yeah, it's a good competition, and you know, I went up there for a few years and think, you know, I had a good reign. I can just pass on to someone else to try win it now. You know, maybe Brian might go up there next year and have a go at it.
Well, certainly, Brian, you can pop that ball far enough to challenge Ger beside you here. Is that something that you have deliberately worked on in your hurling, or are you just naturally a big, strong player who hits that ball far?
Well, up to this year, I never really hit the ball any further than the average person, but I certainly wouldn't be hitting it as far as Ger. This year I'm using a slightly heavier hurley than usual, and you know, sometimes the ball goes, sometimes it doesn't. You know, it really depends on how you strike the ball, the contact you make, and as you say, sometimes the ball travels, sometimes it won't.
Ger, there's been many a defence that has suffered heartbreak because of your long puck outs. The one that quickly springs to mind is Galway in the All-Ireland final in 1990. Was it a deliberate policy in the second half to drive the ball so far into that Galway defence?
Well, Michael, at half-time there was a bit of a win there, having played against it in the first half, and basically what we just said was that we would puck it as long as we could to see how it would work out in the second half. I suppose luckily for us, halfway through the second half, the game started to swing Cork's way. We got a few scores and we went into the lead, and again we started taking a few puck outs that went in behind the Galway half-back line, and we got the breaks inside, so on that day we were lucky enough that they came off.
Mulcahy now in there against Tony Keady, but it's Jerry McInerney who realises that the man in the centre of the half-back line might be in a bother, coming across to make the clearance to Michael Coleman, steadying himself. Long ball, goalkeeper having to come from his goal line and be absolutely secure. He's driven it way up into the air, the breeze carrying it on. Runs on towards Tomas Mulcahy, in the clear, a Cork goal perhaps, yes!
I know that you've already played in a lot of big games. Munster final, of course, is a big one, and played at Croke Park. But an All-Ireland final is a different thing altogether. Do you think you're going to be nervous on the big day?
I'm certainly going to be nervous. I mean, as Keith Cronin says, if you're not nervous, you might as well not turn up. It's part of human nature, so the main thing is try not to let those nerves conquer you. So, you know, obviously you're going to have nerves, so you must try and get over them, and once the ball is turned in, hopefully they'll disappear.
For you, Ger, this is an experience, of course, you've been through several times before. Do you get the same build-up yourself to this All-Ireland as you did, say, 10 years ago?
Oh, definitely, possibly even more so. I suppose when you're starting off as a young fella, you're looking at the first one, and it's an ambition that has been reached. I suppose over the years you look forward to playing an All-Ireland final. But I suppose as you get older, you begin to think maybe this might be your last one, you know, so you begin to enjoy it. But at the same time, it does bring in its own bit of pressure. And, you know, there's no doubt I'll be the same as Brian, and on the Sunday I'll be very nervous as well. But as you say, once the game starts, once you get the full touch of the ball, and you start concentrating the game, I think you'll be okay.
Well, perhaps sometime after the All-Ireland hurling final of 1992 is put aside, Ger, we might get the two of you guys together and see which of you is the biggest hitter of the ball. Mind you, we've tried that already, and you've politely refused, I think.
Well, I would say politely refused, Michael. In fairness to Brian, when he's playing his first final, I hate to destroy his confidence. Maybe the Cooley Mountains sometime the new year, anytime.
Cashman, I think the last time that I talked to you was before the 1990 All-Ireland final. We did that music piece, if you remember, down by the banks of the Lee. I think everybody in the country must have seen that, because they're still talking about it.
They are, but my mother's not talking to me anymore, Michael, after that.
I think you got a bit of a ribbon from the lads about that piece. It was very sort of artistic.
It was, yeah. They got a first flag in the lads there, they're gas.
Well, Jim, obviously, on occasions like that, the reason that feature pieces are done is because you're in All-Ireland finals and lucky enough now to be back in another one, second in 3 years.
Yeah, it's great to be back, Michael. We never expect to be back so soon, and have a point, and hopefully next Sunday week they'll be able to do that.
Jim, what's been the difference this year to last year's team that went down so badly?
I think last year we played Tipperary in the Munster final replay, and I think on the same day Tip were hungrier than Cork to win. And this year, like we were hurt over last year, and I think we were that small bit hungrier against Tipperary, and we're back anyway, so.
Well, you're back and looking forward to it, obviously, and particularly from your own point of view, because you missed the semi-final through injury.
Yeah, on the Sunday morning, I was injured in a club match 2 weeks beforehand, and I had a clot in my thigh, and I was getting physio for 2 weeks before that, and it didn't heal up. And the Sunday morning I had a fitness test and couldn't run.
So is everything okay now for the final?
Perfect. Couldn't be better now at this stage. We're back training, and the atmosphere is good around the place, and can't wait.
Tony, apart from Ger Cunningham, you're the longest serving member of this Cork team. Now, he being a goalkeeper would expect to be on the team longer perhaps, but for a forward, you've had a great run.
Yeah, I'm fairly lucky really, Michael. You know, I've had a good campaign. I think this is my 10th championship season now, and it does get a bit harder, you know. Training is a lot tougher, and but I seem to enjoy it even more this year. Whatever, you know, there's a great atmosphere with the lads, and you know, most of the lads seem to enjoy it anyway.
From your own point of view, you must be pleased with your form.
Yeah, things have worked out well at the moment for me. You know, got a few points. My threes have been going well up to now, and I'm quite happy. You know, my overall general play has been good. Well, I'm just hoping to keep it going now for the final. And you know, as far as we're concerned here in Cork, you know, we really have no individual stars, so it's been a team performance for the last couple of years, and we'd like to keep it that way.
Willie John, you've studied many a good Cork team in your time, many a good Kilkenny team as well. Looking forward to this year's All-Ireland final, how do you reckon it's going to work out?
I've seen Cork playing the last couple of games. I tell you straight out, Cork are going to be hard to beat. I saw Kilkenny the television playing Wexford, and I know they're always dangerous, very good forwards. But once we get into this final, this is what's important, and this final is how I'm concerned, because we got a bit of a drop in 82, and I know that in their minds that these lads on Sunday week will remember not to be overconfident. And
Father Michael O'Brien is a name that's known to hurling fans all over the country as manager of the Cork team. But obviously, as parish priest of Carrigaline, you have a very, very full life outside of hurling.
This church was built in 1957 and has grown from a population then of around 1,000 or so to...
Which was before the 1990 hurling final. There was a lot of work going on here, and it's all finished now, and absolutely beautifully as well.
It is, yeah. Actually, the sacristy was on my right here, and we had a Legion room and other rooms on the left, and we made extra space on the left and right. Sacristy at the back at the right-hand side at the back.
You were also telling me that you've managed to achieve the population of Carrigaline.
Well, I have a theory in that, Michael, it is that people are in command of their own money, and you don't demand, and they have been very, very generous, and a £250,000 debt is now down, reduced in 12 months to 50,000.
Mind you, hurling isn't entirely forgotten about when you come inside the walls of this church, because there is a reminder up on the wall, a very special clock.
But there is, yes, one of my, and it is a reminder to me, and that a reminder to me not to preach too long, and a reminder to the people who, you know, I'd like to be part of myself in the church as well, you know.
Father, let's take a look around the church outside and talk about this final. And one thing that occurs to me is it's very blowing and windy here in Carrigaline this evening. Obviously, those are the kind of conditions that you certainly wouldn't want in Croke Park for the finals.
They are, Michael, because of the quality of the two teams that are involved in the All-Ireland final and the kind of hurling they play, we would need good conditions and I mean, for the game of hurling to be a spectacle and to be, you know, the fullest volume of it, had the fullest volume of entertainment, then it would have to be a good day because people are going to see a spectacle and something worth seeing, game of skill at the highest level.
Looking at this match, both counties, of course, have plenty of recent experience of All-Ireland finals, Cork winning the 90 final, but perhaps more so Kilkenny, who were there last year and were beaten finalists, so they certainly won't be lacking for incentive.
No, Kilkenny won't be lacking for incentive because they were narrowly beaten by Tipperary last year, but then again, you know, we were in last year's Munster replayed
For the Cup now. Olympian, and it's not Wiley. Which Irish Olympian was in the top 8 in the 1932 decathlon? Was it A, Pat O'Callaghan, B, Bob Tisdall, or C, Paddy Ryan? Was it A, Pat O'Callaghan, B, Bob Tisdall, or C, Paddy Ryan? Yes, George.
Yes, if you're going to compete in that, and I think you should know what you're likely to win. It's a rather special prize, as always. Special piece of Philips audio equipment this week. And there it is. A unique, programmable, remote-controlled CD audio system with digital timing, part of the Philips collection. And you can win it if you're this week's winner of the Know Your Sport Viewers Competition. Well, worth winning, isn't it? Stay with us. Phone number comes at the end of the program. Don't forget the lines won't be open until the end of the show, so there's no need dashing out just yet. And even if you did, you'd miss Jimmy, because here he is, jogging his memory with our unique computer.
Yes, we have a unique computer. There's something in excess of 60 different sports events on it. So, fingers crossed. Here we go.
You love that?
Well, what have I got? 45 seconds to tell you how little I know about Wimbledon women's singles. The first winner of the Wimbledon women's singles was a woman called Maud Watson. Charlotte Dodd, Lottie Dodd and Charlotte Cooper were some of the stars in the early days, but the first big star, I suppose, was Suzanne Lenglen. And then Helen Wills, or she then became Helen Wills Moody, became the big star, all pre-war. Alice Marble, the last winner before the war. And after the war, the Wimbledon women's singles was dominated by Louise Brough. She won it 3 times in a row, I think starting in 1947. And then became Maureen Connolly, Little Mo. She won it in the early 50s. So great, great star. The first black person to win it was Althea Gibson, and that's the way she wants to be described, a black person. She won it 2 in a row. And then back we had, nearer the time we're in now, the great Martina Navratilova winning the first of her 9. Probably the greatest women's player of all time. There's no probability about it. She is and was the best.
Don't you say you knew nothing about Wimbledon women's singles. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy McGee.